I woke to silence, not the comforting kind that hugs the edges of sleep, but the kind that hums with absence, the emptiness of expectations smashed into pieces. The wedding hall should have been alive. Lights, laughter, the clink of crystal glasses, millions of rupees worth of preparations, gone. I stared at the phone lying on the bedside table. One message, one line. It's all gone. Don't bother looking for them. No name, no signature. Just a quiet confirmation of chaos. I didn't panic. Not yet. I inhaled slowly, feeling the tremor of controlled fury in my chest. The world could crumble, the walls could burn, and yet I could stay still. I had to. Every instinct in me screamed, but I remained cold, calculated, observing, waiting. The hall's emptiness was a mirror, empty vows, empty promises. And beneath it, I sensed the real crime. Not the missing decorations, not the vanished money, something deeper, something that would crack hearts. I slid from the bed and went to the window. Mist hung low over the street, obscured everything. Perfect. I whispered to no one, yet the words sounded sharp, precise. I will know. The first clue came as a glance, not a deliberate look, but a flicker in her eyes. The bride, my daughter, carrying a secret. And not her secret, someone else's. I watched her speak with the so-called groom's family. Words careful, rehearsed, but her eyes betrayed hesitation. A tiny twitch, a stutter in rhythm, a pause too long. I had raised her in truth, in honor, every fiber of her life shaped to avoid deceit. And yet, the idea refused to leave me. A whisper in my mind. He is not who he seems, and neither are you. I forced the thought away. Rationality, control, but shadows lingered. I went over the arrangements in my head, every transaction, every agreement. Someone had bypassed the contracts, manipulated the vendors, dissolved the ceremony before it even began. And yet the real betrayal wasn't in money. It was personal, emotional, strategic, carefully planned to hurt us, to humiliate. The quiet in the hall mirrored the silence inside me, cold, controlled, but the storm was gathering. I traced steps, observed interactions, caught whispers half heard between smiles. Every detail accumulated, forming a pattern I couldn't yet name. I began the silent investigation. I didn't accuse, I didn't confront, not yet. Phone records, a subtle slip in conversations, vendors who remembered minor details differently. I mapped it all meticulously, noting inconsistencies, cross-referencing alibis. I felt my pulse slow in moments of clarity, tighten in moments of doubt. I spoke to no one. A father is always supposed to shield, not interrogate, but shielding alone wouldn't undo deceit. I traced her steps to the last minute before the disaster. Every call, every movement, every casual smile towards the groom's family. Nothing random, everything deliberate. And then the subtle patterns emerged. The groom, so polished, so respectable, was not a stranger to manipulation. He had engineered everything. And she knew more than she admitted. I watched them both from afar, silent, precise. My eyes were a ledger of truths accumulating in cold lines. I arranged evidence, DNA tests, not to punish, but to confirm what I already suspected. Contracts rechecked, alibis verified, stories dissected. Every night I went to bed with calculated calm. Every morning I awoke to deeper certainty. They believed I was unaware. They thrived on it. But ignorance is a trap, and I never fall into traps.
The report arrived like a winter blade sliding between ribs. The DNA confirmed it. The betrayal was total, emotional, systematic. Infidelity hidden beneath smiles, manipulation sewn into promises. The groom was not the only deceiver. I held the report quietly. I read every line, each number a confirmation of my internal reckoning. When I entered the hall the next morning, it was empty. Everything that should have been celebration was gone. I placed the folder on the table in front of her. No words yet, just the paper. She looked up. Recognition, fear. She hadn't expected this. I asked one question, flat, cold. Do you understand what this is? Her lips parted, but no words came. Only realization, sharp and jagged. I didn't shout. I didn't cry. I didn't even raise my voice. I had no need. The evidence did my work. She sank back, defeated, broken by silence. The groom appeared, feigning innocence. I handed him the folder. He opened it, eyes widening, color draining, shocked, crumbling under the weight of undeniable truth. I did not gloat. I did not smirk. I simply watched, an observer of poetic justice. I executed the final act with deliberate restraint. No physical confrontation, no screaming, no chaos. I walked them through the implications quietly, each revelation a scalpel cutting through their facades. Every question I asked, I already knew the answer. You built this house of lies thinking I wouldn't notice. Did you enjoy the view from the top? No answer, only silence. I let them sit with it. Let the weight of exposure crush them. Let the emptiness mirror what they tried to impose on me. Then I left. Slowly, calmly. My daughter trailing behind, tears unshed, understanding dawning. I didn't look back. I didn't need to. The storm had passed. The truth had done its work. They would remember me not for wrath, but for clarity, precision, power contained within silence. I returned home, sat alone in the study. No celebration, no relief, only control regained, only clarity. Betrayal had been dissected, lies had been exposed, pain had been accounted for. And I realized as I lit a single cigarette and inhaled slowly that I had changed. Not weaker, not stronger, calculated, detached, unflinching. They had lost their power over me, and I would never allow it again. The wedding hall remained empty, the money gone, the facade destroyed. But I walked away whole, silent, cold. And finally,